The series begins with a hot dog called Frank waking up from his sleep. When he comes out, all the food are so happy to see him, and they all thank him for turning their lives around after he took control and fixed their town. They thank him for making them one big family and bringing them peace and harmony. His friends tells him they have brought back his dead girlfriend Brenda back to life. Frank runs to meet her to show her what they have achieved in the town, but she turns to mush. Frank yells as he wakes up from his dream. According to Jack, he knows Frank has been having this nightmare continuously because he is still sad about Brenda dying and turning to mush. Frank doesn't want to talk about it and tells Jack that it's changeover time. Jack dresses up and puts Frank on the throne on his head. Frank is the king of Foodtopia, but all the foods are not satisfied with Frank's governance at all. But they don't have a choice, as Frank uses his human servant Jack to make sure that all the foods in the city follows the rules. Due to the heat from the sun, Frank divided the foods into different groups. Each group will spend time in the fridge for 5 minutes to cool off, then they will be replaced with another group after 5 minutes. Frank uses this method to ensure that everyone gets a equally fridge time. Later that night, Barry and Sammy goes to have a word with Frank concerning how everyone is sick and tired of his leadership. They asks him to change his ways, but their words fall on deaf ears. Even the idiotic Jack does not feel okay to be feared by the citizens of Foodtopia, and believes to be integrated as a part of the food community one day. But Frank treats Jack just as a means to hold on to his power. Barry and Sammy notice two foods called Julius and Duncan sneaking somewhere. They try to follow them to see where they are heading to, but Sammy blows up their cover by making a sound. Julius and Duncan tries to run away, but they're caught by Barry, who interrogates them on what they're planning. Just as they refuse to talk, Barry and Sammy decided to disguise themselves as Julius and Duncan to attend the secret meeting. After they attended the meeting, Barry and Sammy finds out that the other foods are planning to assassinate Jack and Frank to end his reign for good. One of the food notices something really off about Julius and Duncan, and his suspicions proves to be true when he removes the disguise, revealing to be Barry and Sammy. Barry begs them that killing Frank isn't the answer, assuring things are going to get better soon, but the foods have made up their minds, they're tired of being controlled by Frank. After a while, Barry hurries to Frank's room to inform him that the foods are planning to kill him. Barry helps Frank and Jack escape by taking them out of the Foodtopia city gate, but just as Frank goes out of the gate, Barry locks him outside. Barry and Sammy apologizes to Frank. This was the only way to avoid him from getting killed. They were able to negotiate with the other foods and they agreed to exile him instead of assassinating him. Frank refuses to accept this, and tells Jack to climb the gates, but Jack fails as the length of the gate is really high. Frank is so disappointed with Barry and Sammy for double-crossing him, but Barry replies that he should be given some time to smooth things over, but the foods as well pushes Barry and Sammy out of the gate. When they asked what they did wrong, the foods tells them that they are Frank's longtime friends and they can't be trusted. The foods leaves, threatening them never to come back again or they will kill them. Frank feels bad for what the other foods did to him because he was the one who led them on the revolution against the humans. Frank is infuriated with Barry, as he deems the eviction to be his best friend's act of betrayal and remains completely unmindful of how badly he failed as a leader. Jack suggests they venture to the outside world. Now that food kind are the dominating species, they can settle anywhere they want to. Taking Jack's suggestion, the crew decided to move to Jack's hometown to start a new life there. On their way, Jack gets so exhausted, but Barry forces him to continue moving by controlling him through his anus. When they finally arrived at Jack's hometown, the whole place appears to be quiet and empty, with dead bodies all over the city. The crew are suddenly confronted by some wild berries, who didn't seem to be violent at first and even tried to communicate with them, but the moment they set their eyes on Jack, they begin to attack him immediately because he's human. They tried to kill him, but Frank, Barry and Sammy decided to rescue him and get him to somewhere safe. Frank and Barry gets into another argument, but they suddenly noticed a city not far away from them with lights everywhere. The badly wounded Jack is in no shape to move any further, and the effect of bath salts, which allowed him to interact with food kind, has started to wear off as well. They gossip behind Jack back because Jack still thinks the foods in the new city they just discovered is going to welcome him other than seeing him in hostile because he is a human. They decided to leave Jack behind because if the food in the city sees Jack with them, it's going to create a bad impression for them. Frank suddenly goes to tell Jack that they will be right back, giving an excuse that they're going to get some bath salt to make him feel better, but in actuality, they just want to abandon Jack there and go to the new food city without him. When they enter inside the city, they're surprised to see the whole place so civilized, which they find exactly like the paradise for food kind they had hoped to create. The food citizens in the city have created a proper system to allot fridges for every food, are pursuing education, and have a knack for human art and culture, and many of them even own their cars. Frank and his crew suddenly notice a rain about to fall, and decided to warn everyone, believing they're all in danger, but before they could do so, a voice from a speaker suddenly informed all the foods about the upcoming rain, and that they shouldn't worry because their protective system will keep them all safe and dry. Frank and his crew are suddenly noticed by the citizens in the city. They started moving towards them in a very awkward and scary manner, making Frank and his crew to run for their lives. When the foods get hold of them, Frank and his crew realizes that the citizens here aren't trying to hurt them, but are celebrating them. Frank and his crew are taken inside the building to meet a food who introduces herself as Trisha. They're shocked that Trisha knows who they are, and Trisha replies that they don't just know them, but they also see them as legends because they started the revolution that liberated them from humans. Frank praises them for their town being incredible, and questions Trisha if she's the leader here, but Trisha replies that she's one of the many members of the council that represents each food group in the city to ensure that everyone has a voice. Trisha suggests to Frank and his friends to stay over, although Barry doesn't want to, saying they're on a traveling trip. Frank insists that they should stay because he wants to know how they accomplished their whole advanced civilization so fast. A very loud horn gets their attention. Teresa tells them it's their ceremonial horn. Just as they go outside, they see the whole food in a city gathered and making a loud sound. Suddenly they see Jack being dragged to the middle of the city, about to be persecuted because he's a human. Frank couldn't watch this happen because Jack is his friend, a friend that saved his life without even thinking about it. They all rush to go rescue Jack, who is being taken inside a strange facility. Frank and a crew manage to enter the facility to try and stop the food from executing him, but to their surprise, they saw that the foods were only cleaning Jack up and tending to his wounds. More things surprises them here, as they see humans living freely and happily in the facility. Trisha decided to answer Frank's question concerning how their town got so advanced. She tells Frank that it's because they have domesticated humans. They use humans to carry as many refrigerators into the city, and use them to do other jobs. Trisha explains to them that not only did the humans' physical abilities improve their town, but the specialized knowledge from their past lives does as well. The humans have taught them how to drive their cars, practice medicine, and even to read. She suddenly begins to divide Frank and his friends one by one. Firstly, Trisha knows that Sammy loves theatrical activities, and takes him to a movie studio for him to audition. As for Frank, he is asked to join them at the Council of Leadership, and as for Barry, he is told to find a thing in the city he might be good at. Barry joins a dancing class, but he gets frustrated because he's not vibing to the dance. He reveals his frustration to the dance leader that he has tried everything in this town, but nothing is working for him. But after a while, Frank stumbles at a police training class, and he smiles with full interest in it. Trisha introduces Frank to the council as their new member who will be representing nitrates. As their newest member, Trisha asks Frank to select which item from the book he will like to start with, but upon noticing how nervous Frank was, Trisha realizes that Frank is an illiterate who cannot read. To avoid him facing embarrassment, she quickly changes the subject. Barry trains with the chief of police called Dijon. Barry appears to be naturally good with fighting, and this makes the police chief to fall in love with him. As for Jack, he joins a training for humans. It is revealed that the humans are just enslaved beings, as the city security control their bodies like puppets. Jack is dumb, so he isn't aware he is a slave, and since Barry is now a police, he volunteers to control Jack as his puppet. Jack falls in love with a human there called Hill, as they carry out different tasks for the foods. Trisha takes Frank to a primary school class, so he can learn how to read, and as for Sammy, he is able to produce the best movie ever in the city, which made all the directors so jealous of him. Just after Barry had taken a job as a Foodlander security team member, working with Dijon, and it almost seems that everything has worked out perfectly. However, the dark, ugly truth hidden underneath the perfect image of New Foodland creeps out soon, as Barry and Jack accompany the security team for a refueling drive. The human they control needs fuels to continue to bend to their will. As it turns out, Foodlanders send the enslaved humans to take over food settlements by killing, looting, and consuming food. Barry gets so scared by all these, and goes to tell his friends about it. Thank you for watching, guys.